Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes, mommy. Banana. Are you ready? Go, 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 go. Musania. Rala, are you ready? Hey, Leon, are you ready? 1 hour rồi trip à? Đó nó về đây.
아니 내가 어디 할 거야?
어디 사는 동안 뭐?
어디 들려 거 전에 좀 사는.
That is because in a dry dock, that water around the ship's hull, the weight of their cannons could actually be quite sensitive. This meant at any one time that
Can you know it's all safe?
These design later went on to become HMS there, part of the ammunition department of the Royal Navy specialist.
Wait.
The ones that aren't really shot themselves are actually on dry. Welcome to do so. Please try to keep that hold. The vessel can move unexpectedly at any time. And then lastly today, we do just have to remind you that this is a non-smoking vessel, and this does include the use of e-cigarettes or vapes. So as we go about our tour today, then the bar will be open downstairs, a variety of hot and cold drinks, snacks, and even alcoholic beverages. Toilets, should you need them, are downstairs either side of the bar. If you do have any questions today, do feel free to ask them. We hope you enjoy your harbour tour.
Hello, are you enjoying?
No.
Yeah. You see? Hi. Are you enjoying?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
Yes, 100%.
So as we start out today, then the first jetty here on our right hand side is the South the Royal Navy Dockyard, close to the train through the Rainy Victoria. The tall brick building with the cream tower is Semaphore Tower, home to the King's Harbourmaster. It's here they control the shipping movements around the port of Portsmouth and surrounding waters. They do describe use of track radio, CCTV, radar and police patrol vessels keeping a 24-hour watch on the harbour. From them we had to get permission to start our tour today, and it's not them we'll have to get permission to cross the main channel later on. They'll keep a close eye on us as we go about our harbour tour. Inside the harbour. The inlet is now on our right hand side, and inside the canal itself there's a set of stone steps ascending down into the water. These are the King's Stairs, and are so named after frequent use by Henry VIII, who would use these steps aboard his private launch to go inspect his Royal Navy. They were also the last sight of the main dive of Commander Buster Crabbe was ever seen alive. Commander Crabbe entered the water from these steps in 1956, supposedly testing new scuba equipment for the Royal Navy, but unfortunately he was never seen again. Now it was later declassified that he was actually working for MI6, trying to spy on a Russian cruiser inside the harbour, so it's not too hard to imagine what might have gone wrong. Victory jetty now on our right hand side, you can see HMS Victory across the quay wall, but up until 1921 she was actually moored out here in the harbour on the outside of the wall. At this time however they started to fear that she could sink on this mooring, so they moved her into number 1 dry dock where she remains today. Originally built in Chatham in Kent in 1765 as a 98-gun first-rate man-of-war for Trafalgar. Trafalgar, of course, was a major victory over the combined French and Spanish fleets, but unfortunately Nelson did not survive, and there is a plaque on the main deck marking the spot where he fell. Today she is covered up by that white enclosure as they carry out essential preservation work on the vessel. Once this is completed, they will take down that building and restore her masts to their former glory. Next up on our right hand side, perhaps your main attraction in Portsmouth today, we have HMS Queen Elizabeth. The first of our 2 brand new aircraft carriers built for the Royal Navy, with her sister ship Prince of Wales currently out at sea in the Mediterranean on NATO exercises. 280 metres in length, weighing in at some 65,000 tonnes. To put this into perspective, our previous aircraft carrier, Illustrious, weighed in at 21,000 tonnes. So just one of these carriers is 3 times the weight of the previous ship. Designed to operate the F-35B Lightning II strike fighters, these are capable of the short takeoff vertical landing made famous by the Harrier jump jets. These ski jump on the power of the ship there, this 12.5 degree slope increases the maximum takeoff weight of the jets, leaving the carrier by 30%, allowing them to carry more fuel and ammunition on their combat mission. The unique design feature of these aircraft carriers is their twin island design. Islands, when talking about the carriers, refer to the towers protruding from on the main flight deck. Most modern aircraft carriers have a single tower, but as you can see, the Queen Elizabeth actually has two. Under normal operations, the forward tower is the flight tower. The forward tower is the naval tower commanding the ship itself, with the aft or rear tower being the flight tower controlling all the aircraft. In combat, however, both towers can do both jobs at the same time, and this means that if one of them was to be hit by enemy fire and disabled, the other tower can take over both responsibilities, allowing the ship to fly faster. Today she's moored alongside the Princess Royal Jetty. This jetty
Hey, hello. Dia tidak nak tanda.
aircraft carriers. They also dug out the harbour to a new deeper depth of 13 metres below the low tides. This is to ensure these ships can never touch the bottom. During this dredging work, they actually found a variety of artefacts in the sea floor, including a large collection of Napoleonic cannons and cannonballs lost in the harbour over the centuries. Mud and silt was moved manually by these prisoners of war and was moved by machinery during the digging of the channel tunnels. The results are over 2.5 miles of continuous naval quay wall, along with a variety of locks, docks and basins throughout the harbour. As we round the corner, you get some of my favourite views of the aircraft carrier. You really get a sense of how much wider she is on the flight deck compared to the waterline. Down on the waterline, she is 40 metres across, but that's nothing compared to the flight deck where she is 72 metres from shoulder to shoulder. Next up here on our right hand side we have D-35 HMS Dragon and D-37 HMS Duncan. These two ships are both Type 45 Daring class destroyers. We actually have 6 of these ships in the Royal Navy fleet today, each half capable of detecting an object the size of a cricket ball from up to 200 miles away and travelling up to 3 times the speed of sound. They can also keep track of up to 2,000 such objects at once. On the bow of the ship, the Vickers 4.5-inch Mark 8 naval guns can fire a 23-kilogram shell with pinpoint accuracy at targets up to 14 miles away. It can also fire up to 20 times a minute. This is a fully automated weapon, being aimed, fired and reloaded all by machinery and controlled from the ship's command centre. Behind the main gun, the large grey box is home to her VLS, or Vertical Launch System. This is a series of 48 launch tubes, each housing an Aster anti-aircraft missile. These missiles can engage enemy airborne targets up to 100 miles away and reach speeds 5 times faster than the speed of sound. Guided directly to target with the ship's main radar system, they form the first line of defence for our fleet's air protection. In the centre of the ship, we have the funnel. That's where you can see the red crest. Just in front of the funnel, underneath the canvas cover, there is a 30mm autocannon for close-in defence. And just behind the funnel, a piece of ribbon sticking out over the side of the ship. This is a phalanx. She actually has one on either side of the vessel. A phalanx is a radar-guided, 6-barreled, 20mm Gatling gun. Can fire 4,500 rounds per minute on 20mm high explosive shells. It automatically locks onto the closest enemy target, fires until the target has been destroyed, and then immediately switches to the next closest target. It actually forms the last line of defence for our fleet air protection. Now, Dragon on our right-hand side, perhaps the most recognisable of the Type 45s because of that large red dragon on the bow. This has actually been a point of contention between the shipbuilder and the Royal Navy ever since they launched the vessel. See, once they originally launched it, the BAE had painted the Dragon on the front, but the Navy did not approve, and they very quickly painted over it. Shortly after that, however, she went back to BAE for some extra work, and while there, someone reapplied the Dragon. This actually went backwards and forwards a couple of times until the city of Cardiff intervened, and they have now sponsored this Dragon, so it is a permanent fixture on this warship. In front of HMS Dragon today is the tidal basin, inside which we have HMS Tyne. This is one of our Batch 1 River-class patrol ships. We originally had 3 of these built for fishery protection duties. Although the Royal Navy liked the design so much, they ended up buying 6 more for various duties, including one to be the Falklands garrison. The corridors running through the quay walls on our right-hand side are actually locks, and they lead through into number 3 basin on the far side. 3 basin has a maintained high water level, and these locks allow the ships in and out at any state of tide without affecting this waterline. They can also double up as dry dock should the Royal Navy require. And right now, D lock, the one immediately to our right, is currently empty. They are testing the seals.
Don't worry,
One next up on our right-hand side is HMS Sutherland. She's moored today alongside the decommissioned Type 23 that was the HMS Northumbria. So the Type 23 Duke-class frigates were originally designed for anti-submarine warfare. In fact, that yellow piece of equipment on the stern of the ship there is her towed sonar array. Towed behind and beneath the ship, it scans the sea for anything that doesn't belong, most notably being enemy submarines. On the bow of the ship, they have these same Vickers 4.5-inch Mark 8 that we saw on the front of HMS Dragon. It's the standard issue naval gun for Royal Navy warships at the moment, although the new Type 26s are expected to be fitted with 5-inch guns instead. Behind her main gun, her VLS box is for 24 of the older generation of C-sector anti-aircraft missiles. These ships lack the sophisticated radars necessary to guide Aster missiles to targets. They'll also carry 2 30mm autocannons for close-in defence and have 4 torpedo tubes concealed in the hangar bay for launching anti-submarine torpedoes over the side of the vessel. Now, the superstructure of this ship, that is everything above this sleek hull, has been divided into 3 clear and distinct sections. This has actually been done to act as fire breaks. These ships were actually designed in the late 80s and early 90s after lessons learned during the Falklands War. One of the most important lessons the Royal Navy learned was how devastating and uncontrolled fire could be on a Royal Navy warship. As a result, they divided these ships into sections to make it easier for the damage control teams to isolate the individual parts and prevent fires from spreading. And we start to pass these 2 ships then on our right-hand side. As we look over the quay into number 3 basin, the closest ship to us inside the basin is D-36. This is HMS Defender, another Type 45 daring class destroyer. She has a little rundown at the moment, but she actually isn't. Instead, she has just received her modernisation refit, bringing her to the cutting edge of naval technologies. During this refit, however, she has she barely does. She will now receive a fresh coat of paint down. It's now to have weapons put back on. Service this year. So on the outside of the scheme, on our right-hand side, we have another decommissioned ship. This was HMS Bristol. Now, Bristol was launched in 1969. She was supposed to be the first of 3 fast destroyers, but sadly, her sister ships were all scrapped on paper due to defence budget cuts. Basically, the government in the 1970s didn't warships anymore. There wouldn't be any conflicts anytime soon that would need a navy. Well, just 10 years later, she took part in the Falklands War, acting as the escort destroyer to the aircraft carriers, before she went on to become Hong Kong Harbour's guard ship. She was actually returned to Portsmouth in 1991 and decommissioned from Royal Navy service, only to be recommissioned just 2 years later as a static training vessel. This means her engines and weapons have been removed and her engine rooms converted into large classrooms for Royal Navy crews. Today, however, she has once again been decommissioned from service and is currently here getting ready to be towed away to Turkey to be cut up to scrap. Again, looking across the Keeble into 3 basin, H-88 there, that is HMS Enterprise. She's moored alongside her sister ship HMS Echo. Both of these are hydrography ships of the Royal Navy, so they survey the world's oceans to keep the Royal Navy charts up to date. Further back from there, we have HMS Daring. She's another Type 45 that's just had a refit. It's being fitted out on the berths. Then we have the large grey sheds at the back of the harbour of shipbuilding. And then in dry to the right of those sheds, we have HMS Diamond. The final Type 45 in harbour today. She's in there at the moment undergoing her own modernisation refit. On this side of number 3 basin, however, we have the A389. This is the RFA Wave Knight. RFA stands for the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, and this means she's owned by the Royal Navy but operated by merchant sailors. It's her job to sail around the world to meet the ships to refuel and rearm them so they do not have to return to harbour. Wave Knight herself is part of the older Knight class replenishment tankers that was decommissioned a few years ago and replaced with a brand new tidal class. Wave Knight managed to avoid this decommissioning, however, and instead she's being stored here in ordinary. This means she is technically out of service, but she can be reactivated in 6 weeks or less should the Royal Navy suddenly find themselves in need of the extra vessels. The round stone tower coming up on our right-hand side was originally built as a guard tower, keeping an eye on this end of the harbour. Today it marks the end of the Royal Navy docks, with the quay walls beyond that point forming a commercial port for Portsmouth. The first quays here then are the cargo terminals here in Portsmouth, a variety of containerised bulk goods coming in and out of the country through these terminals. You can actually see the Luzon Straits just there being unloaded with containers here in Portsmouth. In fact, she hasn't unloaded a few and loaded a few, so she's probably due to leave sometime this afternoon. Also on our right-hand side, the Ada Sol has come over from Germany. She's actually on a 9-day cruise from Hamburg in Germany, and she will be heading around next to Falmouth before going to Ireland and then returning to Germany. It's actually the largest cruise ship I've ever seen here in Portsmouth. Vessels this size will usually instead go to the Southampton docks. We're not sure why Ada Sols decided to come to Portsmouth instead, but I expect Portsmouth are very happy to have linked this ship with Southampton's traffic. The Continental Ferry Terminal here on our right-hand side is actually the second busiest such terminal here in the UK, second only to Bermuda, with some 2 million passengers passing through here every year. The Brittany ferry services can take you from here across to mainland France in about 6.5 hours. But during the summer months, you can also get the Condor ferries across to the various Channel Islands. As we clear the international port, then on our right-hand side, we have Whale Island, home of HMS Excellent. A major training and administration hub for the Royal Navy here in Portsmouth. It is also home to the Second Sea Lord, second in command of the entire fleet, whose officers are inside that large grey building, effectively known by local Royal Navy crews as the Death Star. Go inside the castle itself, have a look around the grounds, and on a nice day like today, they'll even let you go up onto the roof. Now, an interesting thing about this castle is just how massive the area enclosed by the outer walls actually is. Because it was actually built by the Romans, it was designed to house an entire region. So much so that when the Romans built their castle in the corner, they used less than 1/4 of its total size.
They are not big.
The concrete structure with the two grey cranes just coming up here on the right-hand side, you have the Harbour Harbour Ammunition Facility. It is here that all the warships of Portsmouth come to be loaded and unloaded with that ammunition. It's done out here in the centre of the harbour for the very simple reason of safety. If anything was to go wrong whilst handling this ammunition, if anything was to get dropped that doesn't like being dropped, at least out here you are as far away from everybody else as possible. The building of this was actually prompted all the way back in the 1950s after an accident at Bedlam Pier. Now, Bedlam Pier lies right up the top of Farringford on our right-hand side. In fact, you may be able to make out the green sheds in the far distance. Now, what used to happen, if it was a small ship being reloaded, the ships would actually go up to the pier themselves to collect their ammunition. However, for the larger ship here in Portsmouth, they would actually load ammunition barges at the pier and then bring the barges to the ships. In the 1950s, a fire broke out on one of the ammunition barges while it was at the pier, and this led to a massive explosion. Now, miraculously, no one was killed during this incident, but the local housing was badly damaged, and this raised safety concerns about how the Navy were handling their ammunition, especially when reloading warships in sites in Portsmouth. As a result of this, they changed their procedures and closed some of the out here in the harbour so you can reload them far away from the actual dock. Of course, on our right-hand side, we're being to the harbour today, known as the Rotten Road. That's where the Royal Navy leave their decommissioned ships while they wait for them to be sold off. Up there at the road today is another decommissioned Type 23 frigate. That one was HMS Contract. Like being Northumbria, she has been decommissioned now, expensive to maintain the Royal Navy standards. These ships have been in service now for over 35 years, so they are getting far down. That's where I'm expecting more money to move up there in the next few weeks. Once the Royal Navy finishes now, up that the Rotten Road, trying to sleep on the mooring. The brick buildings on our right-hand side is Privy's Hard. Privy's Hard used to be the largest ammunition facility on the south coast, opened since the English Civil War, with a gunpowder here for the Royal Navy warships. It continued to operate through the Napoleonic Wars and into the First and Second World War, with loading order for explosive shells. After the accident at Bedlam House, on the site had to shut down. Magnetic Gosport Block 1995. People of Gosport are very proud of this and really do tend to stare across the harbour out. This is Spinnaker Tower. These Gosport blocks on time and on budget. These Spinnaker Tower was supposed to be a Millennium Tower, but it missed the Millennium and not opening until 2005, which might be
Single photo. Hey, no.
As we on the right-hand side now, the marked out by the green and white lightship. Three used to be home to HMS Dolphin, a main submarine base for the Royal Navy during the First and Second World War. At its peak by the 1950s, you can see anything up to 30 diesel-class submarines along the key walls. As they transitioned over to all the new nuclear-powered submarines, these much larger boats were even taken to Faslane and Scotland down to Devonport. HMS Dolphin closed down the submarine base and it reverted back to its original name of Fort Blockhouse. It's actually the oldest fortified part of the harbour, particularly used by the Royal Navy, with the first fortification being built here in 1425.
No. Sit down. Sorry. That's what it is.
So we just have received permission from the King's Hard Master to cross the main channel. As we do so, on our right-hand side, we have the harbour entrance to Portsmouth. Portsmouth where the entire city gets its name. This narrow stretch of water is the only way in and out of the harbour for every vessel we'll see today. To make Portsmouth such a great location for a naval base, all you have to do is guard this one narrow opening and you protect every vessel stored within. Over the centuries, many fortifications have been built here for this purpose, the views of which are visible out at sea. They are the round towers of these Solent forts. In the 1860s, they were parks and they were designed to fend off a French invasion by Napoleon III. This invasion never actually came and they were known as the Palmerston's Follies, not actually firing a shot in anger until the Second World War when they were used as anti-aircraft platforms to defend the city. Spice Island on the Portsmouth side of the harbour is actually the oldest part of the city. It gets its name from the old spice and silk trade ships that would come into here from most of the world. This Spice Island is still in West, actually some of the oldest pubs in the city, and it's even rumored that Nelson had one of his last drinks in the country in one of these establishments, though which one is something that two pubs argue about to this day. Spice Island itself is separated from the rest of Portsmouth by the town of Canberra. This body of water is actually the first place the Navy kept their ships here before they built the rest of the docks. It was actually used for so long by the Navy that some of the ships from Henry V's fleet sailed from here to France on the campaign to the Battle of Agincourt. Today it's actually home to the local fishing boats along with the Whitelink car ferry service that will take you from here to Fishbourne on the Isle of Wight. One of only 3 car ferry links to the Isle of Wight for vehicle traffic. Okay then, we're just about to come into Gunwharf Quays Marina. Now this does unfortunately mark the end of our harbour tours today, so we do really hope you all have enjoyed your tour with us and enjoy the rest of your stay in Portsmouth. If you have enjoyed your trip with us today and if you'd like to see the video, thank you bucket by the gangway as you leave the vessel. On behalf of myself and the crew, we would like to say thank you very much for coming with us, and we do really hope to see you all again in the future.
Yeah, finish. Let's go.
कॉपी गरेँ अस्ति नटिस
के किन त हामी यहाँ आएर केही किन्ने यहाँ आएर नकिन्ने हो दिदीको कहाँ जाने अब बिच जाने होला नि बाई बाई फेरि भेटौँला बाई बाई फेरि भेटौँला के हो मान्छेहरू आउँदै आएन त बाई बाई फेरि भेटौँ मुस्कान बाई 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 गरेको प्रणाम प्रणाम
मैं तो मामा जी बाहिर यहाँ त यो केटा यस्तो हुन्छ स्कुल फेरि भोलि मन्डे छुट्टी हो
ए हो नि त यसको त छुट्टी हो
भोलि अफ हो यहाँबाट मिल्दैन अर्को लिख हो अर्को लिख
प्रणामको भोलि छुट्टी हो म त बिर्सेको
ल ल ल
मुस्कान दिदी जान्दिनँ
जस्तो उयोको मुस्कान दिहाल्छ त्यसको We are in Portsmouth now and we're in the boat and we will in the boat. Pranam पनि probably we will right? Pranam, Hachi in the boat and we will in the boat.
Be careful with your camera. Naughty wind,
Oh, so naughty.
It's okay.
No, ice cream finished.
Pranam, Pranam, यता हेर्नु न Pranam, यता हेर्नु हेर्नु नि भयो भयो 뭐요? 뭐야?
Eh, bunga. Sekolah kita rumah di mana? Portsmouth.
뭐예요? 안녕. 사람. Are you ready?
No. Yeah.
나는 뭐야 됐어. 어디 또?
Ngomong sau. Board ba? Eh, मतलब टोयलेट पास गर्न पाएको.
Could you push the details down?
Oh yes, Pranav.
No.
Yes.
3.3 miles. Stay to the left to A3 towards Petersfield.
Petersfield. Petersfield roll on like
बोर्ड चढ्न
यहाँबाट के अरे हेरिङ कति छ? Yes, yes. कति भनेको Pranav?
नलैजाला भनेर रिमाइन्ड
एम्बुलेन्स पो आयो.
त्यो त पछाडि उल्लुक एम्बुलेन्स
Ambulance. No.
Oh, banda.
We're going straight to 79 bar close. Okay, Pranav, we're going home, yeah? Muskan didi home. We're going
Pranav.
to home. Sorry, call it the one. सीधे गयो आएको थियो होला है
अब माने बेमे हम भनेर भाइ नाचेन ललम नाचेन